Thank you, Mark, and with a lot of gratitude to IJS. Yes. Shalom, everyone. Baruchot habaot, baruchim habaim. Oh, it is so good to be with all of you. We need to connect. We always need to connect. We were created with the need to connect. We need to connect a little bit more now in supporting each other, holding space for each other, really just acknowledging that we need. And that's part of the practice, to become aware of, what are my needs? Well, I need to be with all of you. So thank you for giving me the platform for that. Let us begin, as I customarily do, so we can bring mind, body, heart, and soul within and around in a virtual room, like our mini Shabbat retreat. Let us share 3 breathing cycles: receiving breath for 4 moments, 4 seconds, pausing and gazing at the life that we are receiving through the breath, and then returning the gift, because we don't own it, it's on loan, to do amazing, wonderful things with. And then after we finish returning it, aka exhalation, also pause for 4 moments, 4 seconds, and feel the lack of breath moving through you. It's also part of mindful practice, is to be aware of not feeling the breath. And then, lo and behold, we receive it again. So let us share 3 together. Thank you. Thank you. So as Mark mentioned, I recently was in the States. I just returned home yesterday. I spoke in 5 different places, 5 different venues: Philly, Harrisburg, Long Island, Upper West Side, cultivate Torah in the Bronx. And it became apparent to me that waking up every morning as an Israeli Jew, and what my concerns are, what my worries are, what I look for or hope for, I realized on this trip, it's not what most American Jews are waking up to. It's a whole different set of concerns, starting with when I met my sisters right after I landed. And they're really holding, and I saw this in all the cities I was in, a lot of fear for the increasing Jew hatred that's going on in the United States. And I had to pause and realize we're living in 2 very different, and yet we're all Jews, Israeli Jews, American Jews. So what do we have in common? And I realized as I taught and shared in these 5 different venues, we have the Torah. The Torah with mindful practice, especially with mindful contemplative practice, this is what unites us. So yes, my concerns when I wake up in the morning are very different than my sister's concerns right now. They're more concerned about their basic safety and their children, and who are adults, and one is a professor in the university, and their grandchildren. I'm also waking up feeling concerned about my granddaughter for a whole different reason. She's in the army as an officer. But we have the Torah, or and, not but, and we have our Torah. So let us share together some Torah that really will connect as a holistic experience, our mind, bodies, heart, and soul, and then with each other, where we break down the illusion of separations, of hafradot. We can have, and we do experience different experiences, variegated, diverse. In no way, though, does that mean we don't connect to each other. And a piece of me is with you, and a piece of each of you I'm holding to be within me. I'm hoping, as Mark said, tikva, I'm hoping that a piece of each one of you will find a place in my soul as well. There's a verse in this week's Parsha, Chayei Sarah, And it's in Genesis 24. It's more towards the end of the parsha, where the parsha begins with Sarah's passing, and it ends when we're learning about Avraham. He's going to pass. It uses a phrase that's very difficult to translate. And the commentators, of course, love that. That keeps all of our wonderful Rabbanim and Rabbaniyot very busy trying to explore and interpret these words. It's 4 simple words. Va'avraham zakein ba bayamim. And Avraham, the elder, came into the days. There's an English translation there, advanced in days. One of my teachers here in Nachlaot in Yerushalayim, many, many years ago, he has since moved to the next world. May his Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing. He teaches and he addresses this phrase. He acknowledges, this is Reb Shalom Barat. Maybe some of you have heard of him or met him when he was alive here in Nachlaot. He acknowledges that this phrase is not easy. Chevra, this is not easy to translate. Literally, it would translate as come into the days. Reb Shalom continues that according to the Zohar and the Hasidic commentaries, the phrase Ba B'Yamim expresses how Avraham lived his life. So it's not that he came as in the past, he's always coming into the days. Avraham and also Sarah lived each day of their lives with purpose. I mean, I believe this whole teaching of this verse really supports, maybe was the beginning of cultivating mindfulness. I would argue that it makes a lot of sense that we find it early. This is long before the Matan Torah even. They experienced newness and renewal, hitchatshut, every day. Imagine for a moment what it would be like if every day you experienced something that's either renewed from the past or something that's new. The teachings in Chassidut, therefore, focus on the importance of cultivating hitchatshut, this self-renewal. We're doing it to ourselves. It's in the self-reflexive. Renewal is understood as finding and experiencing the newness of the divine's energy each day. I would even suggest when we move into our contemplative practice in silence that may be an anchor for us while we're in quiet or in quietude. Finding and experiencing the newness of today, of the divine's energy, observing a mitzvah, each act of loving kindness, of chesed, gemilut chasadim, and also learning each word of Torah with excitement, because it's like the first time, with vitality, bezirizut, because it's like the first time. And it is the first time, today, this moment. As it doesn't really matter if I have learned this piece 100 times or 1 time. I've never learned it with you. And I'm different now than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So this is the first time I'm sharing this with you. That's exciting. It's brand new. Let us understand also that the phrase hitchatshut, self-renewal, it means really, literally to make new again. It's to renew. It does not mean to replace the old with something new, for this would only be a momentary act, because then the new would be doomed and destined to become old. So it's renewing, and whatever it is I'm renewing, it's a new experience with what was. The Baal Shem Tov explains that the very words and letters of the 10 creative utterances, and for those who have the book Pirkei Avot, it's in chapter 5, the first Mishnah, and also in Masachet Rosh Hashanah, 32, page 32, side A. It's referred to as Ha'asara HaMa'amarot, that these let there be's continuously exists. In Psalms, we even read in 119:89, forever Hashem, L'olam Hashem, your word, Devarcha, stands firmly in the heavens. nitzav b'shamayim. For example, when the Creator said, "Let there be light," or the Creator is constantly saying, "Let there be light," in order for light to keep being in existence. Because the word of when God or the Creator, the Eternal, is creating, that is the life force. The Creator is constantly renewing the creation. And we say this in our morning prayer. We say in the Shacharit, in the Bracha, right after Baruch Hu, the first of the two Brachot before the Shema. Uvetuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid maseh bereshit. In His goodness, God, the Creator, renews each day the work of creation. So the Sfat Emet, his full name is Rev Yehuda Aryeh Leib Alter, lived in Poland, 1847 through 1905, teaches in the name of the Holy Zohar that Avraham Avinu acquired, and Chevra, I really believe more and more, that this really is the beginning of cultivating a mindful practice. Because what did Avraham Avinu do? He acquired every experience of spiritual awakening, every arousal, every enlightenment, and he brought them along with him into his old age. So he was always adding to his repertoire, his portfolio, his teak, his folder of spiritual experiences. So on any given day, it's never the same. Such experiences were created for him each day of his life, and they are available to us as well. In fact, the divine desires to enlighten us all the time. The question is, do we want to be enlightened? And if we do, what are we doing to create ourselves as a vessel to hold that enlightenment? And that's part of, as Mark said, some type of a daily practice. Oh, I don't know what I would do right now in Israel if I didn't have a daily practice. There's so much trauma. And every day, it's new trauma added to the previous trauma. Yes, when we experience such moments of sacred awakenings, we all too often let go of them. And right now in Israel, the expressions of achdut, of unity, we've never seen before. We've never seen before in 75 years in the state of Israel. A window, a gateway to the spiritual world of newness and renewal is opened for us every day. And cultivating mindfulness, actually, it makes it more possible. The Sfat Emet concludes by encouraging us that if we truly want to live in this consciousness of hitchadshut each day, we must value those special moments of enlightenment. I would invite you to feel as I'm feeling right now. Whenever I know I'm going to lead a sit with IJS, I think about it all day. I'm really excited. It's a moment for me of hitchadshut. It's a moment where everyone in the room, this virtual room, even though there's 223 people, I'm receiving your energy, your soul energy. And this is a special moment of enlightenment. And I hope you're receiving mine. We must stay with them, cherish them, and acquire them the way Abraham did, as we would precious gems that come into our possession. I'll conclude with this. When aroused spiritually by a beautiful teaching, by a kind deed, by an inspiring song, Chevra, I invite you all, appreciate it, value it, and take possession of it. It's yours. And each sacred moment will afford you new opportunities. Each one is a gift from our Creator. And I bless us all that we all live, Ad Mea Ve'esrim, whatever that means for us, to live to be 120. Be a person where the verse could say and can testify with and witness your lives, that each one of you, as an older person, is coming into your days, as Avraham Avinu did. The second piece is for you to peruse over Shabbat, or when you have a moment. It's a teaching from my Rebbe, the Piaseczna Rebbe, about this. And he quotes the pasuk that I shared with you today. So let's sit together. Let's sit together in silence and let's explore. I invite us to just explore as a curious, like you're on a hike and you're not really sure what you're going to find. Hold that curiosity. Be with the curiosity without judgment, without expectations, and explore your own inner terrain. I think it's John Kabat-Zinn says, drop in, discover, recover, uncover what already is there, and see if you can be aware of a new moment that you can add to your treasure chest with all your other precious gems as you're always coming into whatever today is. So we'll sit now, and I will let you know when it's soon drawing to the last minute. So we'll sit for 9 minutes, then I'll let us know we're drawing to a close, sit for a minute more, and then we'll move on from there with the Kaddish. Let's sit together. As we're moving into our concluding minute, I invite us all to bless someone that you love. Bless with the vibrations of kindness, support, encouragement. Not everyone feels a hitchatshut every day or sometimes during the week. And bless them. Put it out there into the universe and in your heart that person be blessed with more awareness of the newness in the world, in their world. Let's sit with that for 1 minute. It's so important to share this and bless people with this. And as we conclude our sacred sit together, let us conclude as we began the gathering, as we share 3 breathing cycles in conclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yiscah. Again, such a beautiful practice. So needed. And friends, we seal it as we do each time by offering an opportunity for those who are in mourning or observing Yortzeit, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, to do so. If you're not reciting Kaddish, you can just stay with this practice, be present and supportive, and offer your compassion for those who are mourning. You can put the name or names of those you're honoring in the chat box now or after you recite the Kaddish. Thanks to Jet for sharing the words on the screen. And if you are joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute if you like at this time.
Yitgadal,
Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Mirabah, Amen. Amen. Friends, thanks for joining us today. We'll close out a beautiful week of practice tomorrow. Jenna Sadaka of At the Well will be with us, and Rebecca Schisler will be hosting as we sit into Shabbat together for Parshat Chaye Sarah. And although we're not quite at the month of Kislev, Jenna and At the Well are usually with us to introduce the theme of the new Jewish month of Kislev. So Jenna will be focusing on, as we move to the end of this Cheshvan, a theme to begin to bring us into the month of Kislev, which arrives next week. As always, you're welcome, invited to stay on for conversation with our teacher Yiscah Smith, and or just continue to sit with us. And if you're leaving us now, hope you'll join us tomorrow. We're sitting into Shabbat. Thanks to Jet Bachman for holding our space. Thanks to Yiscah for leading us, and thanks to each of you for being here. And if you do have a question you'd like to share, please put it in the chat. I will keep an eye and try to share that question with Yiscah. Yiscah, thank you so much. You know, that phrase, the phrase that you grounded our practice in, this phrase about Abraham Bayamim coming into days. It's like, it's so ambiguous, or, uh, not clear exactly what that means. What does it mean to come into days? Is it just an idiom? Is it, what does it actually mean? There's so much wonderful commentary on it. And I don't want to get intellectual about it. I want to actually try to, continue to see how we apply this in this meditation practice. And also as we go about our lives. I love the imagery of, being a gem collector throughout life, of just, and we don't lose what is over, but that the renewal that describes is an ongoing process of integration of of previous wisdom, with being open to new wisdom that is happening in every moment. So it struck me though, and I want to get to intellectual. So bring me back if I do here. Is that there is a linear quality to that. That is, and then I did peek ahead to the Piazetzner. I will confess to this idea of ongoing growth in wisdom throughout the course of one's life, which is linear. And there is a before and an after, and there is like a progression or a lack of progression. That's one way of understanding coming into days and acquiring wisdom. And then the other is really the one that's very present oriented. Like, what is new right now? Forget about don't focus on the gems you already have. What is the gem of this moment right now that is curious? So what strikes me like a little bit closer to the mindful, when we think about mindfulness practice, where the focus is on what's new in this moment, right? And not really focusing so much on what's before. So I don't know if you can integrate that, or we just kind of hold those together. What do you think about that?
I actually, in my own experience, I don't see it as an either or.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that whatever it is I'm sensing in the present is profoundly informed by everything clearly it has happened in the past. So, for example, as I began 12 years ago to cultivate a daily practice, it's like something that is cumulative. So my capacity to see newness today is more refined than it was 12 years ago. It doesn't mean every day I'm taking another step forward. I mean, we have our ups, we have our downs, 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. However, I believe in the process more. And at least for myself, and I encourage my students, is to have trust yourself in the process. Mm-hmm. That I'm not, on one hand, it could appear that I'm starting the morning out like a brand new bria, like a brand new newborn infant, but I'm not. In terms of all everything that I've experienced in my past, that doesn't mean necessarily that will inform my present. However, pieces of my past, like for example, this is not my first war. This is my third war, 1973, 1991, and this, with a lot of terrorist attacks, a lot of campaigns into Gaza and Lebanon in between. In 1991, it was my children's first war, so this is their second. For my grandchildren, this is their first war. So we all, because of our ages, our life experience, who we are as individuals, from my 3-year-old grandson to my 20-year-old granddaughter who's an officer, they're experiencing something, each of them differently than I am. Right. My past, their past, the little one's past significantly informs, and it's what we do with that really changes or enhances or becomes a new gem.
Thank you for that. That's a beautiful integration of those ways of understanding it. I have another question, but I'm going to, go ahead.
If I could just add one more point to that.
Sure, please.
And this is what the Piazetzner writes in B'nai Machshava Tova. Be a person who mechapes. Be a person who looks for this. So I wake up every morning, and part of my practice is I always save a little time. Oh, Creator, Shekhinah, the forest, God, Hashem. I wonder what I'm going to find new today. I wonder, as I walk out of my home into the world, I wonder And then before I go to sleep at night, before I say the Shema, before I go to bed, I review my day. This was the gem for today. Something at Pardes, something at IJS, something on the bus, something in the shuk. If I can go to sleep having one piece of one little gem, that's my hitchatshut. Doesn't have to be 24/7. I don't think we can contain that. But if we look for something, more than likely than not, we'll acquire it.
There's a question from Rana, which is a variation. I maybe can mingle the two questions together. Rana's question is, when we fail to awaken in each moment, when that doesn't happen, do you imagine our God sense is diminished? I want to put that together. Well, we'll start there, and then I'll tack on my related question to that. What happens, and this is describing this kind of progression of kind of accumulation of wisdom, right? Of newness, of insight, awareness, etc. What happens when we go through the day and say, like, gee, I forgot to look, or I didn't see it. I forgot to look for the gems today, or I didn't find any gems today, really.
Well, there's nothing we can do to destroy our spiritual center. However, if we don't be more aware of having a spiritual center, it moves into a latent, into the far back burner. It's there waiting to be discovered. But if we prioritize other parts of our living in this world before the soul's consciousness, the awareness of spirituality within us, it doesn't die, but it becomes very remote and more remote. It's the opposite of the cumulative, what the cumulative practice does.
Right.
It helps us become more and more sensitive and refined. The opposite would be going in the other direction. But, we always have teshuvah. And this is a teshuvah of a spiritual consciousness, not like the Rambam talks about, we sinned, I had the cheeseburger, I feel bad, I regret it, which is also teshuvah. I'm not negating it, but this is a consciousness teshuvah.
Coming back to the soul, renewing the soul.
Yes. Rabbi Lu calls this turning. It's a turn.
Right.
And then we move in that new direction. Yeah.
So this is a following up on that. This is, I think, a hard question, which is, first of all, just probably like others here, I feel inspired by the positive energy and your positive approach to this, which is remarkable, I'll say, under the circumstances. But I do want to lift up that question about whether the gems that we are finding, are not necessarily always the result of a pleasant experience, right? Or just the opposite. So the hard question here is, when there are awful, soul-crushing things that happen, how might we find the, quote, gems in that, in hard times like this?
It depends on what we do with it. If all we do is feel the pain, which I'm feeling a lot of pain now.
Right.
In any way, I really don't know how someone who cannot be feeling pain.
Right.
However, that doesn't define me. That does not define me. What defines me is a tapestry, it's like a painting, like in Monet, lilies, the lilies. I visited the MoMA when I was in New York. I love to go there when I'm in New York to see the lilies. And it's like this tapestry of subtle changes in the shades. So a part of me is feeling pain. A part of me is feeling so much gratitude, so much joy, because I also look for the achdut. I look for the unity that everyone in Israel just about is amazed by. It's like barriers have been broken down between Mizrahi and Ashkenazim, between Chilonim and Datiim, even the Haredim, the way they're going up north to help with the farming, because it's a serious problem right now to really cultivate, to yield. There's a lot that has to be picked. And there's all these Haredi Jews from Meir Shamim. The Rebbe said, you have to go up and help them because they're defending Israel. So these are things that we haven't. So I try to see the mixture, like I said, the tapestry,
Hmm.
the palette. That's the word I was looking for.
Hmm.
And in an interesting way, Mark and everyone else, sometimes it's the pain that pushes me even more to be able to see that. And for the PSS and the Rebbe, he believes that is the purpose of suffering and pain, is to bring you to a more sensitive place that
Hmm.
just everyday joy and celebration of life is not taking you. Doesn't mean it can't take you, but it's not taking you. And we know in Israel, there's been a lot. And
Yeah.
now the pain is bringing us into incredible places of, I got off the plane in Israel. I see all the different pictures of all the chatufim, all the abductees, bring home, bring home, bring home. All the billboards in Yerushalayim, wherever we go, they're in our prayers. We're thinking of them. We're being careful how we speak to each other. It's a mixture. It's not what we use today, the modern word. It's not binary. It's
Right.
not a binary anymore. It really transcends the binary. But again, I want to conclude the way I began. It's what we do with it. It's not
Right.
it. It's
Right.
not it. It's what
Right.
we do with it.
Right. Really beautiful and inspirational. I hope you're seeing some of that appreciation for how inspiring this is, Yiscah, in the chat. So we have just a couple of minutes, but it strikes me that what you're teaching, what you just said, and your teaching in general is very reflective of the teaching of the Piazetzner Rebbe, who we've been referencing and is referenced there. So for people who don't know who that is, maybe you can say a little bit about that and what his teaching means for you and at this moment in our history.
So al regel achat, as we say, on
Right.
one foot.
Yes.
So
Right.
the Piasetzner is a town. Piasetzner was a town in Poland, so that's where he was from. So he's called the Piasetzner Rebbe, Rabbi Kalanimus Kalman Shapira. He wrote 7 books. 6 were written before the Holocaust, before World War II. His 7th and final book was a set of Torot from Rosh Hashanah 1939, when Germany invaded, right after Germany invaded Poland and World War II began, to Erev Tisha B'Av, July of 1942. And that's when the deportations to Treblinka began. And he had these almost 3 years worth of Torot. He never addressed the Nazis. He never called them by name, but he would use the energy in the Parsha to somehow see light in darkness. And of course, even for him, it got darker and darker and darker. He survived the deportations. He was there right through the uprising, Pesach of 1943. Then he was sent to, with most of whoever survived after the uprising, he was sent to Chorinki constant death camp. And that's where he was murdered by a firing squad in November 1943. The reason he's my Rebbe, though, is not because he wrote only this book. When I teach all his books, the book Eish Kodesh, which people know him by, is the book that he wrote when Warsaw became a ghetto. He lived in Warsaw for many years in the same house. It just became the ghetto after the war started. You really can appreciate his consciousness by reading the other 6, or at least dabble in some of them. Because what he gave me 2 things that no other Rebbe has. That doesn't mean no other Rebbe could give this to other people, but in my many years, 50 plus years, he gave me permission to live in paradox. He talks about the divine paradox, the fact that a soul can exist in a body, infinite can be infinite. That's the divine contradiction. And sometimes there's this idea in Judaism, especially more observant Judaism, but also less observant of the mitzvot. You have to be perfect. You have to always do it right. And if you do it wrong, it's like a terrible thing. And the PSS allows for having a bad day. He really does. That's for him part of reality. The other part is he really believes we can do this work. It's not just for the tzaddikim. It's not just for the ones who have like an edge over other people. No one has an edge over anyone else. We all start, he believes, on where we're supposed to start. And we all were created to really be able to succeed in this work. And it's like he knows me. When I read his, like he's talking to me. So
Thank you for sharing that. That was excellent. Al regla chad on one foot. Thank you so much, Yiscah. And
you're welcome.
a beautiful student of his, and to make his Torah so relevant to where we are right now, is very beautiful. So, kol hakavod to you. Thank you so much. Want to wish you an early Shabbat Shalom, and hope you get, can ease a little bit back into life there and have a wonderful Shabbat with family. And our thanks, as always, to you, Jet, for holding our space, and to everyone for being here. Please join us tomorrow for practice with Jenna Tzedakah, at our usual time tomorrow to sit into Shabbat. And I wish everyone else also an early Shabbat Shalom.